Okay.
I know our solicitor is going to join online. Oh, here comes Chris.
Sorry. Off road there. Yeah, there. Good evening. This is the regularly scheduled planning board meeting for the month of January. It's Wednesday, the 10th, 2024. Are there any agenda continuances or modifications? None? Okay. Then let's go to number 2. Approval of the minutes of the planning board meeting of October 11th, which we had some corrections made last time, and the meetings of December 13th. So we'll start off with, does anybody have any comments on the corrected corrections on the October 11th, 2023? It appears not. All in favor of accepting the minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Okay, and going to the December 13th. Has everybody read through it, and anybody have any comments? Any
Yes.
corrections?
Possible one, on page 5 of 7, Neil Gavin, was it Niel or Npil? And then, 9 down,
The deal was Neal.
I will look at the notes and I will review that. Yep, that's about the best I use it right now. Yep.
I've never seen this one. Like,
Neither have I. That could be a typo on my part. Absolutely. I will review that.
Okay, with that one correction, does anybody want to make a motion to accept the
I'll
minutes?
have to recuse myself because I wasn't here for that.
Okay,
I'll make a motion to approve the meeting minutes.
is there a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Accepted as it is. All right, number 3.
Can we just do introductions really quick?
Okay,
Make sure that those present are honored and put in the record.
Oh, Kate Wilson approves the meeting minutes for, December 13th, 2023.
Those present at tonight's meeting are Nora Kane Daly, Kathleen Wilson, Luke Harding, Dave
Garza.
Garso, and Chris O'Connell. Thank you.
Oh, you got it. Okay, so number 3, applicant Mark Gert Sakov Esquire, representing, oh, and representing the owner of Hog Island, but there's a change. You've got a new and improved version.
I am not Mark Kurskakov. I'm Eric Chappelle. I'm here pitching in for Mark and representing Steve Simone, who is an owner of property at Hog Island. Steve Simone and the Hog Island Inc. are under contract to sell this portion of property to Mr. Simone. Mr. Simone owns 3 lots on the southwest end of Hog Island right now. And he owns lot 175, 174, and 173, I believe, are the 3. And what he's interested in doing as part of this purchase and sales agreement is purchasing this lot. He is then transferring other lots to Hog Island. And he's also giving Hog Island some money. So the lot right now is under a conservation easement, a preservation easement, an easement for light, air, and obstructed view. So essentially, Mr. Simone owns this lot or owns rights to this lot right now. He can walk on the property, he can picnic on the property, he can stargaze on the property, he can do all these non-obtrusive preservation uses. He can't build anything on it. He can't put up a flagpole. He can't build anything whatsoever. So the only difference is instead of him having an easement on the property, he will now have an ownership interest, and he will have the same easements and preservation restrictions that we put on the property. So it's not a lot for development. It's not anything he's going to do. A natural question is, why doesn't he just merge it to his other land?
Right.
And he owns other lots. He really doesn't want to do it for a lot of reasons. Some of it a liability. Because he owns 3 lots, he wants the ability to grant rights to those 3 lots to be able to use this land. But if it's part of lot 175 and somebody gets hurt on the property, he doesn't want neighbors suing each other over tripping or falling or having unobstructed use to this property. So that's kind of the reason he wants to own it as a separate non-buildable lot. We've done similar things in the past. We did one for Zerlo, as you recall, in Matosa Lane.
Yeah.
Where we created a lot that's never going to be built on for the purpose of, conserving the property with the Quinnig Island Land Trust. So
Maybe it's just me. But
it would be easier, correct? If he merged it with lot 175, it would have been easier. We could have done it administratively. We wouldn't have to be here tonight. But for his own reasons, he wants the ability to have different people use this lot for the different land that he owns in the southwest corner of Hog Island. And he's probably going to put it into an LLC or an insulating entity. So, but that's his plan.
yeah. I guess what I'm confused, when you make something a lot, they're undevelopable or not, I thought there used to have to be a certain amount of frontage to, I could be completely wrong. but-
My understanding is no, if it's an undevelopable lot, then we don't need the access. He has the access from his own land. He's not going to build anything there. There won't be any setbacks there. There would be absolutely nothing constructed on the property.
But no different than what it currently is.
Except that technically he has the fee interest subject to the easement as opposed to Hog Island Inc. having the fee interest subject to the easement. They're just swapping. If you look at property as a bundle of rights, who has more rights? Do you have more rights as the ownership subject to the easement? Or do you have more rights as the easement holder? So all they're really doing is transposing who owns the property and who has the rights to the easement and the negative covenants. Nothing will change. If you look out there, nothing's going to change. You wouldn't know who the owner was unless you did a title search. But for his own personal reasons, he doesn't want to merge it with his one other parcel. He wants to keep it separate.
People use the beach right now?
Mr. Simone uses the beach right now, yes.
He's the only one facing.
Right, right.
It's an island, very few people on it.
Right.
But like currently could, in the way that it is developed, someone wouldn't have the right to land on a boat and sit on that beach?
Well, it wouldn't be developed, so there wouldn't be a dock there or a ramp or You would need coastal resources to get any kind of access to the beach if you wanted something, pull a boat up or something, but
Yeah, but if-
no, it wouldn't be used for that purpose.
Leah, can I ask you, did you see anything that, any reason that this,
I was sort of confused at first by this application and really fought hard with Attorney Gersikov to say, why won't you just do the administrative subdivision and merge it with lots 175? Because I said, why are we creating a non-conforming lot? It just didn't make sense to me, but due to liability reasons and the Mr. Simone having his own personal reasons, I understand that. I do find that this is a two-step process in that, just like the Zerlo case that Attorney Chappelle referenced, that also did go to the zoning board for several variances. In this case, there's not enough frontage and this lot does not front on a public street. So for those reasons, I believe the planning board would have to provide an advisory opinion to the zoning board and follow the same steps that the Zerlo application did. And seek that same set of relief that the Zerlo application did, and then go back to Mr. Lozinski for
sorry,
administrative subdivision.
If I may, you had another very similar situation on Kings Grant. Kings Grant was the 100-acre parcel off of West Main Road that has railroad tracks that basically bifurcate the water in Kings Grant. And you have a strip of land that was conveyed to 5 lot owners, and I appeared and we cut that lot, obviously non-conforming, no access whatsoever. Covenants, you couldn't even get to the property unless you took the dinner train or you took one of the new road trains they have. And we cut that up into 5 different parcels and set it up so we could convey a piece to each of the lot owners, and that didn't require zoning approval. We're not creating anything. Zerlo, I think, was a little bit different. My brother's here, not here to explain the differences, but it's just a different situation. To me, if you're requesting variances, you're off of a street and you're looking at setbacks and you're looking at those types of things. But
I
the
thought-
Quidneck Island Land Trust, we were setting it up in such a way that we had to show value. The land trust isn't going to buy property unless you can show it's got a value. And if the planning board came out and said, this is not a buildable parcel, the land trust wouldn't have bought it. So we set it up that way so you could basically show it could be a buildable lot. And then the land trust would buy the property, and then you put the preservation easement on it and make it non-developable to conform with the plan that you just approved. This is different because we're not selling it to the land trust. We don't need to show any value. I think Hog Island feels it has no value. Steve Simone, having property next door to it, thinks it's got a great value because he can say, I own it.
Right.
So I think that's the difference between Zerlo, is they had to show that it was buildable and had to have the variances in place before they could go to the land trust and have the land trust purchase the property. At least that's my understanding.
So, I'm sorry. So you're saying that, and I don't know if that map can go back up, but I know 175 is the one that abuts it, and then 174, and I'm guessing the one behind that, 173. Am I right on that?
He's got, yes,
This one's
those 3 parcels of 174. I forgot the numbers that they do that.
174 and 173.
And Mr. Simone's house is on the adjacent parcel.
Okay, and you're saying part of the point is that 174 and 173 are gonna have access to this?
He might, but he doesn't want to give access to have these other 2 lots use this property if it's going to put, the owner of, the end parcel in jeopardy. He doesn't want somebody tripping and falling and then going after a homeowner. It's a lot easier for him just to own the property and give other people rights to use that property.
So, and I'm confused, just so, he currently owns all three of those,
That's correct.
and he might sell or let some, or there already are homes on the other two?
I don't know what his intentions are in selling.
But in reality, currently, right now, this piece is just part of that big piece there, and you're just extending that north, is it, or whatever, line, that little short line, bringing it right to the coast to create a lot that is
Get a non-developable division of
non-developable.
property under your administrative subdivision.
Attorney Chappelle, can I have something? On a side note, your client is in the process of moving forward with working with the town, for putting a dock
That's correct.
on lot 173.
That's correct.
And that is still moving forward as being proposed to be put on lot 173.
I believe it's 173. He's from the Coastal Resources, and I know the fire department's designing what they want and where they want their boat and so forth. That's not on this parcel.
Yeah, that's not on this peninsula-like parcel. And there's no talk of ever putting it on this peninsula-like parcel.
No, this parcel is going to be non-developable with the same easement that's there now, and that easement is actually recorded in land evidence. I can give you a copy of it.
So nothing new can go on that property that was. It has a restriction on it and nothing's changed on the restrictions.
Right now, no structures, buildings, garages, sheds, fences, outhouses, bathhouses, cabanas, flagpoles, greenhouses, generators, solar equipment, sporting equipment, so not even a badminton game, for a badminton game.
Haven't heard-
Benches, lawn chairs, beach umbrellas.
Haven't heard dock. Right?
So it's one thing to use the beach, you can't even bring a beach chair with you.
Yeah.
So,
You think dock's not on the list of things that
I'm
can't be
saying
there?
that,
Well,
it's listing that you can't.
Right, but dock's not on the list?
well, any building, any structure. No new shrubs, no new vegetation. Anything that would interfere with his view. He put something in there so he would have a wide open view of the water. Now he's just gonna own it. But Hog Island's gonna restrict it, so he can't do anything with it.
I have a question. Does the 25-foot private right of way stay there? On the, I guess, the north?
Yes,
Doesn't show it on that map, but
it shows it on the plan.
Yeah.
That's on the Hog Island plat. And I think they defined kind of these properties from over the past with Hog Island.
Is that how everybody else can get there, though?
Yes,
So they don't have to go through anyone's yard, they're over there.
that's right.
So these people with the 73, 4 and 5 would have to go all the way around. Well, not 5, but 4 and 3.
have to go around. It can't cut through his yard.
They'd have a long hike till you get to the,
Unless he gave them rights through the yard, but I assume that wouldn't be done. That's because of the whole liability reasons. They would have to go around and use that private right away. If they
But
had
they have
rights.
their own beach. Everybody looks like they got their own beach on their own property.
Yeah.
Currently part of 172, right?
Correct.
Correct.
Which is where
It's
is
that
172?
big middle.
The big yellow parcel, which encompasses the majority of Hog Island.
It's basically everything that's not a lot, right? Yeah,
All of the highlighted yellow is lot 172,
okay.
which is about 80 acres. Is Hog Island Inc., lot 172.
Okay. And are any of those portions already undevelopable or they can be developed?
I believe, I don't want to speak for Attorney Chappelle, but there's about 5 structures, whether they're residential or accessory buildings on the lot. And it's just this southwest peninsula that is being portioned off, called parcel 1.
And it will be still owned by the owner of 172, right?
So it would be,
175,
Oh, it is gonna be owned by 175
yeah,
as undevelopable land.
yes.
and as a separate lot. It's not being part of
That's right.
175. We're saying, geez, you could just do, Leon could just wipe that line right out, and this just becomes a lot 175.
If 175 owns it though, and wait, it's undevelopable and also part of, what was it, what makes it not liable for him? He still owns it.
If the properties is transferred to third parties and he gives them a pertinent right to enjoy this easement or walk on it,
No, I know, I get.
somebody gets hurt on it.
No, I get that part of it, but what is the part of it that makes it so that if he owns it and somebody's hurt on it though, is it because it's, conservation that he's not liable? What's
No,
the
it's
part?
just anybody that lives in Hog Island and uses the roads, visits the property.
No, I guess
It's-
I'm asking for the difference of like slicing it off like that, as opposed to having it being part of 175. What part of slicing it off makes it not liable for him? Like what is the mechanism that's making it?
Or is it Hog Island Inc. that's not gonna be liable if somebody falls on this? Because if Mr. Simone owns both, somebody falls on Mr. Simone.
Hog Island Inc. would not be liable, that's correct.
Okay,
And also if Mr. Simone sold one of his other lots but gave them rights to it, lot 175 would not be liable as well. Whether that's him or a successor in interest.
so if he individually decided, I'm out of here and I wanna sell 175, that lot doesn't go with it. And it just
It
remains,
could.
it could as
Could
a
go with it or could not go with it, depends on how he wants to sell it, if he sells it.
buy one, get a second one free, yeah. But it would be useless to anybody else other than the person that had 175, because you can't do anything.
The main benefit right now does benefit 175, because it's the views from his house that look over this.
Yeah.
So when he negotiated the easement, it was all about trying to preserve that view. Even though he probably couldn't have done anything on it anyway, given coastal regs. But no, it's personal preference. I think the subdivision ordinance, defines administrative subdivision as a division of land that doesn't create a buildable lot, or a lot for development. Which is why we put that on the plan, not for development. Plus Hog Island is going to ensure in the deed that these same restrictions that are on the property now stay on the property. Because with an easement, if I have an easement and then I own the property and I own the property that the easement's on, there's a merger. And if I have a merger, the easement's gone. So Hog Island wants to ensure that if this property is sold, or when this property is sold, it's going to have the same restrictions, so Mr. Simone can't build anything on it. I don't know if that makes sense, but if I have a right to go over your driveway and I live next door to you and I buy your house, there's a merger of estates and there's no easement anymore. So I have to be careful when I sell that property that I include the right to go over your land.
I'm glad, I'm getting in trouble. I'm glad you're the one speaking tonight, because if this other person that was here and I didn't know them, I would say, man, there is something going on there that I just can't find them. But knowing that it's you, I believe you.
So can I ask Leah,
Yes.
because there will be no building, then they would not really need to go before the zoning board?
I have a slight difference of opinion with Attorney Chappelle, but now he is referencing another similar situation of King's Grants, which I wasn't familiar with.
And I want to disclose for the record, even though that was granted, the homeowners decided not to do it. You did approve the plan, but they never recorded it in land evidence. I mean, I can get you copies of the plan, but they were never recorded. At the time, everyone felt it would be nice to have their own little slice of the beach. And then when they read all the restrictions that coastal had put on, you couldn't even walk your dog on it. So they said, Plus, they didn't have the right to go over the railroad tracks.
Plus they'd now be taxpayers
Yeah.
of that land that they couldn't use.
I do agree that, an administrative subdivision is clearly the right way to go with this, because they're asking for a new lot that is not going to be developed on. They're clearly putting that on the plan, that it's a lot not for development. There's a recorded document that lists all the things you can or you cannot do with the lot. I think as we talk this out, by going to the zoning board to ask for variances gives the illusion that you're looking to develop it down the road. If Attorney Gavin is hearing this and wants to bail me out of this, by all means. So maybe with Attorney Chappelle's multi-years of experience in the legal world, maybe he is correct. But I guess I had always gone with the thought of it would have to get the variances. If Gavin thinks otherwise, by all means.
Right. I'm trying. See here.
Any thoughts, Kevin?
We're just trying to get on here.
Okay.
We see you.
Well, this is kind of an evolving thing. I mean, I was basically deferring to Leah, but as I hear this, a lot of this stuff I had not known either. But I mean, if Leah's okay with the idea that, I mean, why go to get variances to build on a lot that's going to be unbuildable? Maybe it's not necessary. So it seemed to me that's what Leah was suggesting. We were talking earlier about the need. I mean, normally if you go to do to do an administrative subdivision or any subdivision and you need variances, you do it conditionally and you go to the zoning board for approval of the variances and then come back to along with advisory opinion of the planning board to the zoning board for the variances. But as everyone has talked this through, including Leah, I mean, if it's non-buildable, maybe that's a moot point. So if that's what Leah's position is, I guess I would concur with that. I mean, if it's clear that it's non-buildable and I haven't seen these restrictions that were talked about on some other I mean, I know Eric was talking about he was reading some restrictions of what you can and can't do. I haven't seen any of that, but all I've seen is that this says not for development. Maybe I don't know, maybe there could be some reference to the restrictions that are on record. Help me out, Eric. I don't know what.
Yeah, correct. There were restrictions on record, and it would be appropriate for this board because of the merger issue that I talked about. If Simone buys this lot and does merge it with the land, now there are no restrictions anymore. So it's probably as a condition you may want to put on that as part of this transfer of property, that those restrictions be added that benefit Hog Island. Right now, the restrictions benefit Simone. After the sale or the transfer, the restrictions we need to put back on to benefit Hog Island. So,
Yeah, I would
so
think
you know that it will
was-
never be
I mean,
developable.
That would be a game stopper if the restrictions went away as far as we would go.
Right.
But so,
But certainly Mark Hog Island and Mark Grisigoff are not going to allow the sale to go through unless the restrictions are put right back on that benefit the other party.
and I was told that like land trust, this is not the land trust, but the deed restrictions aren't in perpetuity. It only lasts a certain amount of
That's
time.
correct.
But in this deed restriction, it is.
Well, that's one of the things he's considering is whether there's a the conservation group that he could transfer the rights to, so it would be perpetual. You're right. If you're a charitable organization or a conservation organization, the 30-year rule against restrictions going away. They become perpetual. The only way to get rid of the restrictions at that point, you've got to go to the Attorney General's office and file a Superior Court action to show that the public is benefited by the removal of the restrictions.
It seems to me, and I don't know that I'm fully understanding this, but seems to me the idea of the restrictions are more important or paramount to whether or not going to the zoning board for dimensional variances for frontage and things like that. I think the more serious concern is understanding the whole idea of the restrictions.
But so the request to create a non-developable lot from a portion of lot 172 with the under the conditions that the current restrictions remain, that there is no chance of in the future taking those
I mean,
restrictions off.
I mean, right, I mean, Leah, what do you think about that? If I could ask.
I do agree with that. I think that is more important than going to the zoning board. What is the book and page number of those restrictions?
It is book. My eyes are bad and I've got glasses on.
Is it on here? Because I can't.
No.
Oh, thank you. It's book number 1838, page number 340.
Yes, that's
What was
correct.
the first number of book? What?
1838. Page 340.
And that's what the restrictions are.
Yes. So Kevin, I don't know how long you had been on, but what I was saying, the restrictions now benefit Simone. So Hog Island can't do anything to this parcel that would affect Simone's view of the property. After the conveyance, now Hog Island wants the same restriction that Mr. Simone can't do anything on the property that would affect this property or affect Hog Island's views should they develop further their own property. In other words, they want it non-developable also.
So you say after the conveyance from who to who?
From Hog Island Inc. to Simone.
Simone.
Right now, Hog Island owns the land and Simone is benefited by the restrictions.
Okay, so if it's transferred from Hog Island to Simone, then the restriction would be to the benefit of the transferor, which is Hog Island, is that?
Correct, correct. But we need to put that in the deed of conveyance, which is in the contract as well. In other
So,
words, everyone agrees they don't want it developable,
right,
but if Simone buys the property and they don't put that restriction on, then he could do what he wanted. That's why Hog Island wants the reciprocal
right.
restrictions
So
back.
this motion that it to vote
Excuse me.
would meet to say it's to give the right to create a non-developable lot from portion 172 to Mr. Simone under the condition that the same restrictions that are in book 1838, page 340 would remain as part of the deal to accept this newly created lot. And with that motion, do we take a vote? All in favor?
You need a second?
Oh, I'm sorry, yeah, I have a second on that.
Second.
Okay, 8 seconds. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? No? It passes.
Right, well, thank you for your time and
Yep.
seeing me, the only matter on the agenda.
Very,
Appreciate
very
it.
simple project.
Thank you.
See ya. All right, number 4, January 10th, monthly project status report, administrative subdivision and plan, reporting and status of new road construction. What do you say, Leon? I see you streamlined it, looks like. Okay. So then, does somebody?
Make a motion, we approve the monthly project status report.
We have a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, nobody? And one more thing, or is that? That's it, right? Motion to adjourn, somebody?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Okay. All in favor? I don't think anybody's gonna. Aye. Thank you, folks.